For Ms. Streep. She plays a modern-day version of a Virginia Woolf character, a woman who struggles with depression.
There was such a sense of possibility. You know, that feeling? And I remember thinking to myself, so this is the beginning of happiness. This is where it starts. And of course, there'll always be more. Never occurred to me. It wasn't the beginning. It was happiness.
And then the daughter says, well, that's because you were young.
Right?
And I'm like, great. Meryl Streep, good morning. Nice to see you, Meryl.
Nice to see you.
You're really getting a lot of attention. Kudos, congratulations for all the awards, not only the nominations that you're receiving, but your co-stars, Julianne and Nicole, are getting for The Hours. You all must be very pleased and gratified.
We are. We're just thrilled. We're thrilled because it's an unusual film to get a lot of notice because it has no male protagonist.
Right? It really focuses on three women whose stories are intertwined, and it's based on Michael Cunningham's Pulitzer Prize-winning novel from 1998. And I know when you read the novel, The Hours, you were skeptical that this could be translated into the big screen. What was it that gave you sort of second thoughts about that?
Well, it's a book that takes place in the heads of the people that it's about. It's about Virginia Woolf writing Mrs. Dalloway, which is a famous novel of hers, and the impact that that book had on two separate women, many decades apart, one who lives in the 40s and one who lives now. And so it's about the impact of literature, about reading, you know, and what art has to, how it helps us live.
And once you read the script and you began to work on the movie, did you say, yes, this is going to work, or were you still wondering, gosh, once it's up there and it's completed, will it really capture the essence of Cunningham's novel?
Well, it was very weird because the three stories are interwoven, but it was all done in the editing room, the lab, you know. So my part was shot discreetly. In other words, I never met Nicole Kidman. I went through her costumes in the costume room.
Did you try on her
nose? They were better.
You did. Well, they were a little, you know, more dated than yours were, Meryl. But did you try on her nose? I understand
I already have it on.
Very funny.
No, but I didn't see all the various parts until I went to the first screening. So it was sort of beautifully woven together. But it's a fantastic cast.
What do you think that, well, I mean, you can't really get much better than the three of you. And what do you think, what is the theme? As you said, it's about three women. What do you think, Meryl? Because I saw the movie, and it's one of those movies that I keep thinking about, which I think is a good thing.
It is.
But not many people have seen it, so I don't have anyone to talk to about it. So what do you think these women have in common? They're all very unhappy, aren't they?
Well, they're all sort of stuck. And that's a state that a lot of people feel. They feel stuck in a pattern or a thing that's inescapable, either circumstances of their life, or they just feel like they can't escape. Virginia Woolf is sort of incarcerated in a kind of depression, and also her husband has moved her to the country because the idea was that the stimulation of London was too much for her. Julianne Moore's character is sort of stuck in a life that is not something that she can breathe in.
In fact, Julianne describes her character as being underwater.
Yes.
And she
actually is, literally.
Right, right. But she sort of she didn't have a choice. She did what society expected of her. And on top of that...
And what she thought was right. I mean, some people are incarcerated by the choices they think are the right choices and the correct choice, but it isn't the one that they can live with.
Now, what about Clarissa, your character? She's an editor at a publishing house.
Yes, in New York, and she's taking care of a friend who's dying of AIDS, and that friend was her lover from her youth.
And she really has never gotten over him.
No. And and it's a lost cause, I think we can safely say. But she's also living in a relationship with her lover, who's played by Allison Janney. She has a daughter that she loves very much. They have a very good life together. But it's almost as if she puts aside her happiness to take care of Ed Harris's character.
There's Allison Janney, obviously, who
pass out from
plays
excitement.
Clarissa's lover. And I want to take a quick look at your interaction with Ed Harris. If we could show the clip of Clarissa, really, her raison d'etre is taking care of him in a way.
Yeah.
Let's listen.
Satisfy you.
Well, so that is what we do. That is what people do. They stay alive for each other.
It's fascinating, too, to see how Ed Harris is linked to the whole plot of the movie, which kind of
Yes.
comes as a surprise, doesn't
Yes,
it? If you
yes.
haven't read the book.
Yes.
What do you think, Meryl? Do you think that this is going to be a big commercial success? Because it is very intense in terms of subject matter. And frankly, it's a bit depressing in terms of the women and what happens to them, particularly Julianne Moore's character.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. To me, it feels authentic and true. And the truth is always kind of exhilarating. I felt, one thing I felt when I left that film was that it wasn't, that there was some, that sort of had the clang of the truth, and that excited me. And I liked my character's arc, which is, I think, the most hopeful one, where she kind of wakes up and recognizes that the richness of her life is in her life, right here. It's right in the chair in which she sits. And
That's true. I
in
think
her family.
her life does, and her story does end on a very hopeful note. Well, it's
Yeah.
great to see you,
Great to
Meryl.
see you,
The movie
thanks.
is The Hours. Congratulations, and congratulations on adaptation, too. Meryl Streep at her funniest in years. That's what they're saying. And we'll be back with more of Today right after this.